Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stop and think about how the businesses you see every day are actually, well, put together?
It's fundamental stuff, really. How they're structured legally, what they do.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into that. We want to give you a clear picture of the basic forms a business can take and why choosing the right one is such a big deal.
Right. Knowing this helps whether you're maybe dreaming up your own venture or just curious about the world of commerce around you. We'll look at the main legal setups and the kinds of activities businesses get into.
Okay, great. So let's start with those legal structures. Say you're a freelance graphic designer just starting out. What's the most likely setup?
Often that'll be a sole proprietorship.
Yeah.
It's generally the default if you just start working for yourself. You and the business are, legally speaking, the same thing.
Simple enough. What's the main appeal there besides being easy?
Well, that simplicity is the appeal. Less paperwork to start, but, and this is a big but, there's no separation. If the business owes money, you owe money. Your personal assets could be at risk.
Ah, okay. The liability factor. So what if our designer teams up with, say, a web developer? Two people.
Now you're probably looking at a partnership. Basically, two or more people agreeing to co-own a business for profit. Think maybe a small law firm or, like you said, tech collaborators.
And they share resources, expertise.
Exactly. Pool their talents, share the profits, but often they also share that personal liability, just like the sole proprietor. It's usually unincorporated.
So still that personal risk element. What if they want protection? If they, want to shield their personal savings if the business hits a rough patch?
Okay, now we're moving towards structures like the limited liability company or LLC. This is a really popular choice for small businesses.
Right, the LLC. How does that change things?
The key word is limited liability. It creates a sort of legal separation between the owners, they're often called members, and the business itself. So generally, your personal assets, like your house or car, are protected from business debts.
That sounds like a big advantage. How does it work with taxes usually?
Often, it offers what's called pass-through taxation. So the business profits and losses are passed through to the owner's personal income taxes, avoiding the double taxation that can sometimes happen with the next type.
Which would be the corporation. Okay, so this sounds like the most maybe formal structure.
It definitely can be. A corporation is treated as a completely separate legal entity from its owners. Think big companies, chains, businesses that might want to issue stock.
Stockholders, right. So the owners are stockholders.
Yep. And this structure provides the strongest protection against personal liability. It's its own legal person. Plus, being able to sell stock makes raising significant amounts of capital potentially easier.
But I imagine there's more complexity, more rules.
Generally, yes. More setup requirements, more ongoing compliance, and potentially different tax rules. Sometimes profits are taxed at the corporate level and again when distributed to shareholders.
Okay, that gives us a good map of the legal forms. Now, what about what businesses do, the actual activity? Let's start with, say, a consultant or maybe an airline.
Right, those would typically be service businesses. They sell their time, their expertise, or some kind of intangible service rather than a physical product. Your accountant, your hairdresser, Southwest Airlines getting you somewhere, all service-based.
Got it. Then you've got the places we buy stuff from, like Target or a local bookstore.
Absolutely. Those are retail businesses. Their model is buying goods from manufacturers or wholesalers and then selling those goods directly to consumers like you and me. Sometimes this buying and selling activity itself is called merchandising.
So they're like the middlemen, in a way, buying and reselling.
In essence, yes. They manage inventory, display products, handle the sales transaction, think Walmart, Best Buy, even Starbucks selling coffee beans alongside the drinks.
Okay. And the last main type, the ones who make the stuff.
Those are the manufacturing businesses. They take raw materials or components and transform them into finished products. Ford making cars, Intel making computer chips, a local bakery making bread from flour. They're involved in the actual creation process.
So we have these legal structures and these activity types. Why is it so crucial to get the structure right? Why choose one over another?
It really boils down to a few key things. We've touched on liability. How much personal risk are you willing to take? That's often number one.
Right.
Then there's taxation. Different structures are taxed differently, which can hugely impact the bottom line. Complexity and cost are factors too. Some forms are just simpler and cheaper to set up and maintain.
And you mentioned funding for corporations?
Yes, funding needs are critical. If you plan to seek major investment or issue stock, a corporation is often the necessary path. It really depends on the business's size, goals, risk tolerance, and, well, future plans.
So no single best answer. It's about the specific situation.
Precisely. A freelancer might be perfectly happy as a sole proprietor, while a growing tech firm might need the structure and funding options of a corporation. An LLC often provides a good middle ground for many.
It makes you think, doesn't it? When you walk past a small coffee shop versus a huge chain, their legal setup and maybe even their core activity classification could be quite different, driven by these very factors.
Absolutely. Think about that next time you're out. What choices might they have made and why? It adds a whole new layer to understanding the businesses that shape our world.
A fantastic point to end on. We've covered the essential business structures, sole proprietorships, partnerships, LLCs, corporations, and the main activities like service, retail, and manufacturing. Hopefully this gives you a clearer view of that hidden architecture.
Understanding these foundations really does unlock a deeper appreciation for how commerce works.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it sparks some insight. Until next time.